The more I think about what the Colts did at the quarterback position this offseason, the more I like it. And I'm not even a Carson Wentz hater. I think he's an okay player, just overpaid. And I'm also not a Matt Ryan truther who thinks he's elite or anything like that at this point in his career. Obviously, he was his MVP year. But the reason why I like this is, well, let me just lay it out like this. Here's a quick chart to kind of just talk about really what the Colts lost and gained in the two trades, the Carson Wentz trade and the Matt Ryan trade. Worth mentioning, they also got and then got rid of a third-round pick, so I just didn't include that there. But the Colts, with these two trades, got Matt Ryan, they got a third-round pick that could become a second-round pick, and $4.5 million in cap space since Washington took on all of Carson Wentz's contract. And all they lost was Carson Wentz. So viewing it this way, it kind of feels like a clear win, right? I mean, I would consider Matt Ryan to be better than Wentz, so you get the upgrade at the quarterback position, and you get draft capital and cap space. Like, that's all three things you would like to have. Now, watching some film, I went back and watched that Week 18 game, that fiasco that happened in Jacksonville. Wentz got all the blame for this game, and quite frankly, he didn't deserve all of the blame for this game. Like, that's very much worth mentioning when talking about this, is it's not like Wentz was the only thing wrong with the Colts. He wasn't. Colts have a great offensive line, great running game. Receivers could have used some work last year. Let's just be honest. And this is a good example where it's going to just be a pick play and watch what happens. So Wentz takes the snap, he runs the play action, looks over, and it's well played by Jacksonville. So nothing is going to get open right here. Wentz still tries to hit Jack Doyle, who then just drops it. It's kind of I think a pretty clever play by Wentz, quite frankly, and it didn't work out. So it's worth mentioning, when you go back and watch that game, I still feel like Wentz got too much criticism for that game. He wasn't great, he made some mistakes, but there were other mistakes made. It wasn't just him that was the guy who, the entire team collapsed, I guess is what I'll say. Like, this was another example of him really, making a great play, quite frankly. It's going to be a zone coverage play. You see the gap over the middle, and you see the receiver who's running in that gap. As you see, Wentz is going to take the snap. He is going to make this throw, and it's a good throw, but does not get complete right there. It was a tough catch. It's not like easy to make, but still, if that catch is made, people are talking about what a great play from Wentz. And so for Matt Ryan, who's now going to be stepping into this role, it's not like he's going from horrible situation to great situation the way Stafford did. There still are some issues with this Colts offense. It's not a perfect offense, although I would certainly say it's better than what Atlanta threw out there last year, and certainly what Atlanta will be throwing out next year with the way that roster is looking. Let's look at some numbers and kind of talk about just comparing these two guys and sort of, using some stats that I like to use. So we won't spend forever on this, but I want to touch on it. So these are just some stats I like, and this is where they ranked last year in each of those positional categories. So for PFF grade, Carson Wentz ranked 21st, Matt Ryan ranked 13th. Big time throw percentage, Wentz was 19th, Ryan was 17th, so no real massive jump there. Turnover-worthy play percentage, actually Wentz was a little bit better than Matt Ryan. He finished 13th, Ryan finished 17th, and that's lowest. So as in if you finished first in that, you had the least amount of turnover-worthy plays per snap. And finally, the last one on this one is passer rating. But again, passer rating is kind of a team stat a little bit, so I would expect Wentz, just the situation he was in, to have a better passer rating than Ryan, but he did do that. So again, it's not like Wentz is an awful player, but you are getting a marginal upgrade here. Some more stats to look at. These are a bit more complex, so just to get into a little bit more detail and explain them if you have not heard them before. But these are stats I do like, specifically the last two. The first one's okay. It's just adjusted completion percentage. You can probably figure that out, but it's PFF graders basically adjusting the completion percentage for, like for example, if there's a dropped pass, they still count that as a completion for your adjusted completion percentage. And under this stat, Carson Wentz, not great. 32nd out of about 40 eligible quarterbacks. Matt Ryan, not spectacular either, but 15th best. So again, marginal upgrade here. Now, Pro Football Focus grade when kept clean. This is actually really interesting. So for Wentz, didn't do spectacular when kept clean last year relative to his counterparts, whereas Ryan did. He got 14th best. And I wonder if that's kind of why the Colts really got excited about this trade. Ryan does well when he is kept clean. Carson Wentz kind of does better when things are a little bit more under fire. He can definitely make stuff happen out of nothing, although he can also make bad things happen out of nothing as well. Finally, the last one, that's a Pro Football Focus grade when a play lasts 2.5 seconds or more. So this is actually a really good indicator of who's really playing well, is how well do you play once the, typically design play ends under 2.5 seconds. So the reason why you have that cutoff is this is when the design play doesn't work. What are you able to do? It's a good measure to see who a good quarterback is. Wentz and Ryan are actually very similar there. Wentz is even a little better in that. But I'm assuming with all the other stats, that's really what the Colts are looking for. And also going over to this play now, Wentz might not have turned the ball over as much last year as we've seen him do in previous years, but his interceptions and his turnovers were very ugly. And this is an example where this is the classic Frank Reich type play. This is something he loves to do. Very simple concept, basically that middle route, the tight end, that's typically where you want to throw to. However, right when this play begins, you see that it's not really working out. Jacksonville linebacker reads this well, steps in front of Mo Alley-Cox here, so good defense. I think it's fair to say Matt Ryan probably doesn't make this throw. He probably just hits the check down over towards, the top of the screen around the 23-yard line. That's probably where Ryan would go here, but this is not what Wentz does. Wentz instead throws the ball deep down the field, and it gets intercepted. So this is kind of why it's like, okay, in that Jacksonville game, it wasn't just Carson Wentz. It's not like this was a perfect game and Carson Wentz screwed it up. There was some other issues, but Carson Wentz certainly, had a negative hand in it that you would expect Matt Ryan would not have. Also, some stuff like this is kind of what Matt Ryan can do, and I want to just sort of touch on that a little bit as well, as Matt Ryan still does have it. And those numbers showed, like, okay, no, he can still play. He's not being abysmal, and maybe being in a bad situation makes him look worse than he actually is. That's also another factor. So maybe, I'm kind of seeing, okay, he's around, maybe like a mid-tier quarterback, sort of at this point in his career, maybe like 13th, 14th best, around that range. But maybe you feel like because of the situation he was in, he's actually a little bit better. On this play, you see how it's going to work is it's a cover 3 zone, and you see Kyle Pitts' zone could definitely get into a gap in coverage here. But watch how, while it's still well defended by Detroit, Ryan is able to make a very accurate throw. He hits Kyle Pitts, and they pick up a big chunk play there. So again, I don't think this is kind of one of those situations where, like, for example, the Browns going from Baker Mayfield to Deshaun Watson, that's like a big significant upgrade right there. I think that the Broncos going from Teddy Bridgewater to Russell Wilson, huge upgrade there. I think going from Wentz to Ryan is a marginal upgrade. I don't think it's a massive one, and I don't think this is one that is the biggest upgrade we've ever seen. But at the same time, like, listen, going from Jared Goff to Matthew Stafford wasn't this like super significant upgrade. Probably a bigger one than Wentz to Ryan, but still, it wasn't like this incredible massive upgrade. But that was a big reason why they won a Super Bowl, and I'm sure the Colts are feeling very similar of like, listen, it might not be the biggest upgrade in the world, but it is an upgrade at the most important position. So getting a decent upgrade at the quarterback position is more valuable than getting a massive upgrade at any other position in football. So let's do it. I like the move. I think it makes sense. The more and more I think about it, the more and more I am in favor of it from the Colts perspective. Still don't really understand what the Falcons are doing. I guess Falcons are just rebuilding. That's all they're doing. So I guess I get it from their perspective either. But from the Colts perspective, it's more interesting to me. That's what I think. What do you guys think? Let me know in the comments below. Always love hearing from you. And of course, as always, thanks for watching.